the classic boxer puncher. The pressure fighter.
He also needs to try and make an impression here on Golovkin.
The impenetrable high guard. The sharpshooter. The slick mover, counterpuncher. We will often hear the term used, different looks, in boxing matches. What exactly are different looks? At the introduction of this video, we displayed different styles of boxers. Each individual boxer has their own look. The look will give us a snapshot into what that boxer is about, what kind of style they present as a fighter. Are they a pressure fighter? Are they a counterpuncher? Are they a sharpshooter? Are they a mover? Humans are creatures of habit and repetition. Often what is presented in the past will be expected in the future. For example, if a fighter enters from the first bell aggressive, it would be expected that throughout the bout, the fighter will continue to be aggressive. The fans and the opponent would both think this and expect this. Fighters will make adjustments throughout the rounds, although typically their style does stay the same, and their look is fairly consistent throughout the fight. Very good boxers can change their look throughout the fight, and exceptional boxers can change their looks in the moment. Today, we study the art of different looks. We first look to Katie Taylor, one of the most successful amateur boxers in history. From first glance, we can see that Katie Taylor uses a relatively low guard and relies on more footwork to enter and exit out of range. She predominantly does this because she's had a long amateur career and is fairly new to the pro ranks. Katie Taylor gets a lot of success with this style, predominantly because she's more athletic than her opponents, but it's not the only style she possesses. Taylor frequently transitions in and out of her fast feet attacks into a more solid stance at times, with a high guard pressing forward. At other times she'll set her feet and try to bait her opponent with a low guard, and then at other times she'll move around in a circle and try to counter her opponent. Let's look slowly and break these moments down. In this frame we'll see Taylor using a relatively low guard and fast feet to attack and defend. As mentioned previously, this style requires a high level of athleticism, as the hands are lower and the feet are 100% required in order to bring you in and out of range. This is Katie Taylor's predominant style throughout most fights, and the look she will revert back to. In this frame we see Taylor using her fast feet and then transitioning to setting her feet, dropping her guard and baiting with her head. This is in order to try and bring her opponent out into an attack to counter. You can see a distinct change of footwork from fast, active feet to more settled and stable. At times, Taylor transitions in and out of a high guard. This doesn't appear to be for any strategic advantage, although it does break up the consistency of her movement patterns, which makes it harder for her opponent to read. One of my favourite things about Katie Taylor is that when she's prepared to attack, she'll put her shoulders forward, burrow in, and commit to her punches. Let's take a look at this closely. Taylor sets her feet, shifts her hips back and her shoulders forward, and dips her head into the attack. In order to commit with this level of aggression, Taylor could not use her traditional stance. This would leave her more upright and more exposed to her opponent's attack. But by shifting her hips backwards, putting her shoulders forwards and lowering her center of gravity, she creates a smaller target which allows her to push forward with a lower risk of being caught on the way in. Moving on to the master of looks. Floyd Mayweather may be one of the only boxers ever to change his looks consistently throughout a fight. Most fighters can change their look once, twice, maybe 3 times throughout a fight, but Floyd Mayweather can change his looks moment to moment within a round, making it almost impossible for an opponent to pick his patterns and exploit his weaknesses. To see how Mayweather can transition his looks so frequently throughout a fight, we take a look at the Mayweather vs Pacquiao first round. We see Mayweather come out with a high guard, then drop his stance to a low center of gravity, lowering his guard and using a more sharpshooter style, then returning to a high guard, using fast feet to avoid an attack, and then going back to a sharpshooter style of boxing. This is incredible considering it's only 30 seconds into the first round. This makes it almost impossible to find any consistent patterns in his movement. Look how Mayweather sets up his rear cross. He shows a look that we hadn't seen before. He drops his height, drops his rear hand, leans forward, prepares the attack, and then feints and shoots. Pacquiao hadn't seen this, the fans hadn't seen this, it comes by surprise. He repeats this attack, and then goes back to a more sharpshooter style of boxing. Again, changing the look that Manny Pacquiao is getting. In this sequence, we see Mayweather baiting Pacquiao. But look at the way that he changes between leaning forward, dipping down, sitting back, using footwork, popping the jab. It's all puzzling. Just take a look in slow motion the amount of different movements or different looks that Mayweather gives. Even just the dip at the knees and the bend of the waist changes the perspective that Manny Pacquiao is getting. It makes it more and more confusing as the fight goes on. Although Mayweather is the master of boxing out of different looks or styles, we don't need to be able to do it at the same level of competency. Even if we're just able to create different looks to keep our opponent thinking and buy us time, this can give us the freedom to use our own look or style more effectively.